Tomorrow, I will officially announce my candidacy for president. Brace yourselves, people. It's now time for the campaign.
Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be discussing Man of the Year, a film that I recently watched. It's a comedy about a man named Tom Dobbs, who's a comedian, who ends up deciding to run for president. Now, granted, a comedian doesn't usually run for president, and to be honest, Tom Dobbs wasn't even thinking about running until people started suggesting it to him when he was at his show, and all of a sudden, loads of emails came in with support. So Tom Dobbs decides, hey, why not I just give this a shot? I mean, it could be funny, it could be a good joke down the road, and it might be something worth just checking out. So Tom Dobbs starts to run, and surprisingly actually ends up with a major percentage of the American population. So he starts participating in presidential debates and rallies, and on election night, he goes to spend time with his friend just to laugh it off. They don't really think that they're going to pull it off, but one by one, the states start going in Tom Dobbs' favor. And all of a sudden, a comedian is elected the president of the United States. Or so you might think. Maybe the election actually has been rigged. Now, I'm not going to spoil too much of the film, but one very hard-working employee at the voter election machine company noticed that there's a irregularity in the code where they accidentally will choose the wrong person to be elected, because this is the first election that's using computerized voting machines, and there's a glitch. So, being the person that this employee is, they warn Tom Dobbs that he may not actually be the real president of the United States, which is something I think is interesting about this film, because that employee could have just done nothing, but she did the right thing. And by telling Tom Dobbs is like, he could have just waved it away and been like, it's a lie. I still want to become president of the United States. Nobody else knows any better. So I'm just going to become president of the United States. However, Tom Dobbs' character is much better than that. He actually decides that he's going to make sure that it's true that he's not the real president, and then he's going to go public with it, and he's going to basically say that his candidacy is null and void because he actually isn't the real president of the United States. So I really think that was a good lesson in honesty and truth, with all the lying and deception that's going on with his friends telling him just wave it off. You don't know if it's true. Don't even try. You get to be president. Nobody else really gets this opportunity. So why would you throw it all away when somebody tells you that it may be illegitimate? However, even though this film is really funny and it's got a great lesson, there's a lot to unpack in the Rotten Apples section. Beginning with the violence, there's a car crash, and there's a little bit of violence. The violence isn't really terrible in this film outside of that car crash. But when you go over to some of the jokes are funny. They're pure and innocent, but a lot of them have some kind of sexual meaning. We see some sexual gestures. We hear some references to gays and lesbians, and just a lot of foul language that has to do with sexual means throughout this film. I was surprised. There was actually an F-bomb. There's quite a few S-words, and the Lord's name is vain is used multiple times. I was actually surprised this film didn't really get R for the amount of language that was in it. Because when I looked at it, I just saw PG-13. I thought it'd be all right. I don't recommend that you show this to a teenager. I recommend that an adult and above watches this film, just because of that. There's also some drugs. Somebody gets drugged with a needle that we see on screen, and then we also see some people drinking at a bar. But overall, this film, I think it was funny. I think that it was a neat idea to think about what would happen if a comedian got elected president. I don't think that some of the stuff was necessary, but overall I think it was an interesting film. I'd probably give it about a 3 out of 5. Let me know if you've seen this film before, and let me know your thoughts about it. Thank you, and have a good rest of your day.